Hey, folks, it's time for Rebel Wrap-Up here at Circuit World and Blue Ridge. We want to thank Papa's Pizza to Go for the meal, Pepsi for the drinks, and yes, it is time to talk about Rebel football. I'm here with head coach Chad Cheatham, and also the offensive line coach Kuna is with us. First on the couch, senior Traylon Owensby. He's a tailback, and also joining us the first on the couch, senior Jackson Weeks, linebacker and offensive line. Guys, we talked last week. I was talking to the guys before the show. We were talking a little bit. Coach, you first couple sets had to get adjusted to some speed, right?
Exactly.
Over at Lafayette,
We did.
had to get adjusted to some speed, but things settled in really well for you guys. Went into halftime 21-14. Talk about that and the way these guys responded, adjusting to that opening Friday night.
Well, you know, they're a very good football team. They're very well coached, very physical up front on both sides of the ball, and very talented in the back end with speed, like you said. And we got the ball, we went down and scored. Luke kept it on the boot, and we ended up scoring, and they came right back down. Obviously, like we talked about last week, it was a speed adjustment for us. I mean, 5 and 2 in the backfield together gives you a lot of stuff to look at on the edges. And 2 got on the edge on us. We got outflanked, and he went down the sideline and scored, made it 7-7. Then they jumped in an overset that we hadn't seen, an unbalanced look, and we didn't adjust to it at first. And they cracked everybody down and got the edge again. So there, you're right. There at the first of it, I mean, it was really back and forth. And just proud of our kids, the way they responded at halftime. We came out at halftime. We kicked off to them. I told them the first drive was the most important drive. Get a stop, get the ball back, let's score. Let's take them out of any momentum they had. We did that, and we were able to continue to battle all night long. We played 4 quarters. You know, we played our starters well into the fourth quarter. We had talked about that. But they held up good, and these guys played amazing. Our coaching staff did a great job. I'm just proud of them.
Folks, by the way, I kind of left the important part out. 42-14 win over the Lafayette Ramblers. And again, they are a 4A school. You've played back-to-back 4A schools actually in the same region there at 4A. I think they're Region 7. And we talked about that, picking up the speed after the Gilmer game, having to pick up the speed and the guys getting ready. Let me ask both of you this, whoever goes first, but both of you get in that conversation. Picking up that speed and getting that momentum going, talk about how you guys adjusted and a little bit about that game.
I mean, they made good plays on us to start out with. We had it figured out by experience.
And you, if you would like to, would you like to try a shot at that question?
I mean, they got up on us quicker than we thought they would. I mean, took a little bit of time adjusting to them with their speed and everything, especially running the ball. And then at halftime, Coach came in and talked to us about some of their corrections or whatever. And then we just get back out and executed them.
Coach, balance is right now what I'm looking at, because the offense 500, I think you've got 505 total yards, 6 touchdowns. We're going to talk to a young lady here in just a minute that went 6 for 6 on that. But interceptions, big plays,
Right.
defense, an enormous amount of tackles. I think 3 interceptions on the night.
Yes, 1 forced fumble recovery.
Right, 1 forced fumble recovery. Talk about from the coach's standpoint this early in the season, because obviously an offense goes out and a defense is playing the way your defense is playing, takes that pressure off.
Sure.
And talk about that balance that's already coming along this quick in the season.
I think that's probably a great question for this guy right here, who does an outstanding job on our offensive line. And we talked about everybody loading the box up on us and really pressuring us inside to stop the run. And Traylon hadn't really got a chance to expand a defense because everybody was sitting in there and open to cut up again a couple of times. I mean, I think the second play or first play we went deep on them. First play of the game, same look. Our protection was great, but what they did finally is they started to loosen that box up. And he ran for 126 or 130 yards, couple scores. But biggest thing was our protection up front was great with our offensive line, and our running game, we blocked them, and they were good. And that's a credit to this guy and our big five up front.
Let me switch that to you because that's where I was going next, Coach, as far as an offensive line. Obviously in high school, one or two graduate, you start, plugging some guys in, and sometimes on the high school level, it takes a couple games for all the guys on the front to start responding to each other, playing as a unit. Offensive line is very simple to me as a unit. Tell me where you guys are at right now with that line as you're going forward. Tell me a little bit about those guys.
Right now we're further ahead, obviously, than we were last year. We were fortunate. We had 3 coming back with Mason and Miles and Micah, so we had a lot of experience coming there. We need to replace the center and the left guard. Jackson started at linebacker first last year, but based on his physical attributes, I addressed him early in May and said, this is something I'd like you to try this year. He's a physical ball player. He's got good feet. And we ask our guards, Mike O'Neill plays the other one. We need our guards that can get to linebackers, get outside on runs, and lead block for us. We felt he could do it. He bought into it. It took him a whole summer. But by the time we got to that first scrimmage, he was adjusting the offense. And we pretty much had a good idea who those front 5 were going to be. So they had a lot of time over the summer to gel. And there was some competition in a couple spots. But, they earned them. And then Chris Scott stepped in at the center position. And, over the past month, I think we've got to the point where they feel very cohesive with each other. He knows Chris is next to him and Miles on the other side, and they can kind of communicate on the line and make adjustments as the game goes. And, like him and Micah this week, like Coach said, they crowded the box. We had a lot of trouble running inside and really opened up big holes for Traylon. So we started to run a little bit more off tackle with our buck play, and that was Jackson and Micah getting out on the edge and throwing blocks in space and opening up some seams for Traylon to do some damage, especially in the second half.
Guys, last week we talked on the show about this team this year, and we talked last week that Lafayette would probably be the team that you guys would finally have to play what we call 4 quarters. You'd have to play the entire game. The starters would have to say, I think up to last week, the starters hadn't seen any very little action in the second half. Talk about this team this year already in the season, how you guys feel, how you guys are working together, and the energy level that you guys are bringing to the field. Talk a little bit about that this year.
Energy is definitely higher because we're better. It's faster paced stuff.
What's better? Now, I didn't mean to interrupt you. When you say that, tell me what's better, not to be negative in any way, but what is better?
In places we lacked last year, we're better at this year.
Okay.
Like, for example, like defensive backs. We got better DBs this year. We can defend the pass better this year.
Just stronger in some of the positions this year.
I think we played more together this year than we did last year.
How is that for you, the energy level, and give me a little bit of the attitude of this team?
I think our energy level is a lot greater this year than last year because this past season, previous season before, we just went to the playoffs for the first time in 5-7 years or something like that. So everybody was kind of walking in with a good head about this season because we had a lot of returning starters. And I just feel like the intensity level and everybody wanting to get after it is a lot greater this year.
Sometimes there's and let me see how to put this. Sometimes there's a can we do this, and then it can turn into we can do this.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying, Coach?
Absolutely.
And I don't know how to put that, but I watched you guys last year, and throughout the year last year, I kind of watched when it kicked in. We can do this. We can get there. You know what I mean?
Well,
Is that different this year in a roundabout way?
There's no doubt. There was a standard that was set, and I think we're playing to that standard right now. Can we win 10, 15 ball games? You don't know. The toughest one's the next one that you play. But I feel like our kids now have the confidence, and I'm not talking about cockiness. I'm talking about confidence and humility.
Right.
To be able to feel like they can compete with anybody that they step on the field with, where possibly before last year there might have been a little bit of a doubt. This year I feel like our kids are confident in their abilities. I think they're comfortable in our systems, and so that makes a big difference when you walk on the practice field and when you walk on the game field. You know exactly what to do, and you've done it for a year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years now. So I think that's a big part of their confidence, the energy. When you know what to do and you can just turn loose
right.
and let it go, you're a lot better football player. because you don't have to think. You just react, and you've been there. You've done it before. And I think that's what these guys are getting, and that's why this energy and this standard is being set.
You know, I know when you're in an off week, and before we get to break, I know when you're off week, the off week you work on yourself, and next week you work on your opponent usually. So this week you're working on yourself. I won't see you next week. The team, what are some of the things that you guys after 2 weeks are working on as a team? Making some adjustments, you know, whatever, fine tuning. What are some of the things you guys are working on this week?
Pursuing the ball.
Pursuing the ball. Elaborate a little on that.
Go until the whistle's blown, not like stop him before. Like if he's not down, take him down.
Play to the whistle.
Yes, sir.
Play to the whistle. Now, the other thing I got to ask you this, because it's next week, and I know Coach doesn't have you thinking about this, but the next time we talk.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, I wouldn't say. Back that up, Josh. Rewind that. I didn't say
I
that.
would not say we're not working on Union. I wouldn't say that.
I wouldn't either.
Okay, Coach.
I
I
would be,
won't say it.
I don't.
Okay, Coach wouldn't say that. All right. Between I don't like to jump ahead,
I
Coach,
understand,
because
I understand.
sometimes between now and the next time we get together, as Coach has just cleared me. Union, you are playing. Although it's not a 4A team and they're 2A, we both know they're very physical. They're a well-coached team. They're a good team. They're a rival. You're going to see Pearson Allison that's going to give you a lot of different looks than you have seen this year. So talk a little bit about that next rivalry game coming up week after this.
We've been doing Union stuff all week. I feel like if we play to our full potential and play 4 quarters, I think we can beat them.
All right. And how about you as far as the rivalry and playing Union? And you know the thing is what I like about your schedule, Coach, getting into region play. You got to give these guys getting all different looks.
Sure.
Different teams, different looks, and
We've been 2 tight ends. We've seen spread. We've seen unbalanced stuff, and now we're going back into a spread team, a very good spread team. So they're getting to see a whole lot offensively and defensively. 8-man box, 7-man box.
Even 9-man box a couple times.
I mean, we're seeing it all.
Okay, so folks, they have been working on Union. Wow, I got.
It's the next opponent.
It's the next one.
I understand, but in the off week, I just didn't want to push it in case, and I already know the people I'm getting ready to get text messages from as soon as this show. Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, let me ask you this. We got to take a break, but you know, every show we do this. First of all, let me give a couple highlights. Holloway was 12 for 21, 283 yards, 3 TDs. Owensby, 19 carries for 134 yards, 2 TDs. Mosley, 3 for 4. And let's see, total receiving, Hyde, 6 for 185 yards, 1 TD. Ingram, 1 for 11 yards, 1 TD. Beavers, 2 for 54 yards. And Mosley, 2 for 31. A total of 505 yards, 6 TDs total with a 42-14 win. When we get back, we're going to talk about defense. But before we leave, you said to yourself, I say it every week when I talk to you guys, what did you say you had to come and work on personally yourself, that you critiqued yourself when you showed up Monday and said, I got to get better at this? What was that for you?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, we done 19 bug. Couple of plays against Lafayette and I missed. I try to go for the kill shot, but I end up missing. I mean, that's the little thing, lots of things I got to work on like that. Just not going for the kill shot, just the basics down, even just getting in the way of a player.
What was that for you?
No matter how tired you are, keep going. Because,
play to the whistle.
Jason's got to play both sides of the ball, so he gets a lot of reps.
Lots of reps.
A lot of reps. Well, I will tell you guys, your preseason workouts and everything you guys did off the field preparing to get into this season is definitely paying off. You guys are very physical this year. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. And again, our first segment, senior Traylon Owensby, and senior Jackson Weeks. When we come back, Kahutta Hyde and Sarah Soseby will be joining us. Josh, take a break.
The summer truck event is here at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. So come get a payload of savings on Georgia's favorite trucks, like over $11,000 off new Silverado crew cabs, or more than $6,000 off Colorado crew cabs. Every Chevy truck and SUV is discounted for this special event. Don't miss out. The summer truck event at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where new Chevy trucks always cost less.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World. In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hey folks, we're back. It's time for a Rebel wrap-up. We're here at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. We want to thank Papa's Pizza to Go for providing a meal for the coaches and the players, and Pepsi, our sponsors. And we thank all of our Team FYN sponsors. Also, now joining us is junior Kahutta Hyde, receiver, defensive back, and Sarah Soseby, the kicker, 6 for 6. Way to go. Congratulations. So 6 for 6. And Fannin is coming off a big 42-14 win over Lafayette, and they are a 4A team. Coach, let's go back. Now, I will say, let me start out with saying, I know you have been working on Gilmer since Union since last Friday night. Okay.
Yeah,
on the way home, you were talking about it on the bus. All right.
We've been
I'll
taking
give
a
you
peek
that.
at them. Yeah.
All right. We'll get that because I want to get that clear. So you're coming off 2. We said that earlier, and that's where I got the Gilmer on my brain. You're coming off 2 4A school games. Lafayette, very physical game.
Yes, very.
All right, very physical game. Tell me and the fans out there, what's that say about this team, about physicality? Are they?
Well, I think.
Are they where you expected them to be right now?
I don't know if you ever say they're where I expected them to be. I mean, I think there's always areas and room to get better and to improve. But I'm very proud of where they are. I think that in a physical game like that of 4 quarters, when you're going toe to toe with one another, it started in December for us, and they had several key injuries, and because it was such a physical ball game, we stayed fairly healthy. A lot of that has to do with the weight room and conditioning. Not that they're not in the weight room or they're not conditioned, just that our kids go both ways. Most of theirs don't. So their reps in practice, our reps in practice are many more than possibly they get. So I felt like that the weight room, what we did in the winter, what we did in the summer, in the spring and the summer, really paid dividends. And you and I talked about it last week playing 4 quarters. And in a physical ball game like that, where there's a big chance of injuries, there's no better way to prevent that than being in the weight room and having a body that's conditioned to contact.
Let me go back to the offensive line. We talked about it earlier. Your quarterback, let me just say, from last year to this year, with that line in front of him, looks like he's very comfortable. Is that what you're?
And I think a lot of it goes, give Luke a lot of credit too, and maturing as a quarterback and feeling comfortable in it. But those guys up front, they've done a really good job. When you got 2 real big offensive tackles out there, Miles and Bundy, they'll wear on people after 4 quarters getting pounded by them. Chris is a big boy at center, and then with Micah and Jackson, they're 2 very explosive, strong players. So, you get in a 4-quarter game and those bodies banging on you, it wears down defenses, and that's what we want to do. We want to run the ball physically, but when it comes time to throw, to hide in the other guys, we want to make sure Luke has plenty of time and he's comfortable back there to see his reads and get to the ball out.
That's where I wanted to go. Hyde is as a receiver this year with this offensive line, everything translates. Luke maturing another year, being comfortable back there. Are you guys as the receivers? The connection with your quarterback, timing, and things like that, you seeing a big difference this year?
Oh, this year our timing is much better than last year. He's gotten his arm a lot stronger so he can throw to our speed and we don't have to slow down. And with that offensive line up front, he has so much time to throw the ball that we can do whatever we want. Without them up front, we wouldn't be open.
So it's all connecting, and that's where absolutely, it's all connecting, and it's taken, I guess, the pressure off to where you guys, he can hit you in stride.
Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry about looking for the ball early or anything. We can just run our route and be expecting the ball in a good spot.
Okay, 6 for 6. Congratulations. Now, you're a senior this year.
Yes, sir.
Is this your 3rd year kicking the ball? Am I right? The 3rd year? And so tell me a little bit about that pressure when you go out there and you're kicking that extra point and it's 42. I've watched you do this before. It's just like it's seamless for you, but a little bit of there's some pressure when that thing snapped and it's time to go. Tell me a little bit about that.
There's not as much pressure as there used to be. Like in my first year, I was a lot more stressed and anxious when I got out there. But this is my 2nd year with Luke being the holder, so I'm not worried about it because I know Luke's going to be right there and I can trust him with the ball.
I'm just enjoying so much hearing these players here and all of them complimenting other players and the confidence they're having in each other.
I think that's one of the things that we try to build. And if you watch Kahutta and you watch Andre and Luke and Traylon and Mosley and all those guys work together in our offensive front, you see guys that can communicate with their eyes. They can communicate with each other by body language. They know what each other's going to do. It's a situation where Kahutta knows when to cut his route off and when if he needs to skinny a post up or he needs to skinny a corner route up, and then Luke sees it too, and it's good. And then it goes back to having time to be able to read the defense, make the good throw. And Kahutta's gifted, very gifted catching the football. And several of them are, but Kahutta goes up. I mean, he had an interception also. Ball's in the air, the guy goes to it. It makes great.
He can run a little bit too.
And he can run. So that's a triple threat there.
Run, go to the
catch,
ball, pull it out of the air,
and then score.
Right, there you go. But what I really, not just to be redundant, but what I'm really enjoying is how this team this year, every part. I mean, and that's, you got to have, you really need 11 11 players out there.
You know, and that's not to say that every day's easy.
No, they're not.
It's not. I mean, we've got our problems just like everybody else, and we have our differences. And sometimes in practice things go a little haywire, and we have to reel it all back in. But at the end of the day, I think everybody loves one another. Everybody knows what we're about, and we can come back together and say, "Hey, man, I really screwed up, and I'm sorry, and let's go back tomorrow and do it again."
All right. The next time we see you, you guys are going to have a game against another rival. It's a 2A school, but we all know Union's a very physical school. You're going to see a different kind of threat as the quarterback and in the defense, and you know who you're playing. Talk a little bit about this next game coming up against the Union Panthers. What you guys think about another rivalry game, and you're going to be at home.
Well, we haven't really played Union at home in a while, so that's going to be nice. And I got put out of this game early last year, so I'm kind of excited for it. So
Okay.
We just got to come in focused and ready to play and give it everything we got.
How about you, Sarah?
I think if the guys play like they have been, we're going to do fine.
I agree. Coach, let's put that on you. Quarterback this week, very physical.
Sure.
Smart young man.
Yes, he is.
Plays all over the field. Talk about getting your defense ready this week.
You got to defend the field. They can hurt you with 24. There's not the same 24 as last year, but I think his last name is Daniels. I mean, he's a good player. He ran the ball well for him the other night. Then you've got Morlock on one side, and then you've got nine on the other side. I can't remember his name, but right off the top of my head. But he's got so many weapons. He's got some good linemen that are back. And so it's kind of pick your poison. You're going to defend the buck sweep. You're going to defend the quick screens on the edge. You're going to defend the tunnel screen. You're going to defend the power game. You're going to defend their counters and jets. We just got to be real sound in what we do and try to keep them contained. Obviously, cover the big kid out, that 6'6" kid out wide, and play physical and play really, really fundamentally sound and know what we're supposed to do and execute. And I think, as always, team that makes a few mistakes are going to be successful.
And I think, again, it's going to be a back-to-back, even though you do have the off week, it's going to be a back-to-back physical game for your team. And I don't want to say, obviously, that you ever go in the game not thinking you're going to play 4 quarters, but this is definitely going to be another one of those games where
I think it's going to be a war, and I think that we got to be prepared for 4 quarters, obviously, and that's where we're working on this week, physically and mentally and emotionally, trying to get ourselves ready to really play a physical ball game and do something that hasn't been done in a while.
Coach Kuna, with the offensive line, what are you looking at with Union that you guys are looking at on film that you have to prepare for a little different than the last 2 weeks?
Well, obviously, we know they're a very aggressive defense. We saw that, and we went back and we looked at last year's film from the game. This year we've got 5 guys up front that are working together. Last year at this point, we were kind of piecing things together as far as who our linemen were going to be. We had a couple of injuries previous to that, so we were kind of not at full strength going into that. I feel real good right now. We've played well in these first 4 games. They've gotten better each week, but this is going to be a test. They're going to bring linebackers. They're going to bring guys off the edge. They're going to make sure that we can block them. They're not going to just line up in 3 spots. We're going to get it from everywhere, so we need to be prepared in all facets of the offense, the run game, the pass game. We need to pick up stunts and blitzes, so it's going to be a big challenge for us, but we're looking forward to it.
Sarah, let me say, as a senior, I really enjoy having you back on. Last year, I got to know you. I know 6 for 6, you can't ask for a lot more. You go out, you go 6 for 6. But when you showed up at practice Monday, what did you say? Hey, I want to work on, I want to do a little better at, or I need to focus on? What was that for you?
I need to focus on my height on the ball, just getting it over so it can't be blocked.
Okay. All right. What was that for you this week? What did you say when you got there Monday? I need to apply myself a little more
I got to work on mainly being in the right spots on defense and knowing where I'm supposed to be at and where to be.
Okay. Coach, I always love, and you know why I asked that question, because I always love when your team shows up on Monday and before you get to say anything, they already know the things they want to work on.
And I think that's a testament to their maturity and their buy-in to what we're doing. I think these are great kids. I'm just so proud of them. They're a joy to be around every single day, and it's a great time. It's exciting. and we got to continue what we've started. We all know there's going to be down times, but we feel like we can overcome those because we love one another, and we're going to keep playing hard.
Appreciate you, Coach. Before we go, let me run some things out. Again, in 2 games, the Fan Rebels have put up over 40 in 2 games in a row. Defense is coming through big. Also only giving up, looks like 2 touchdowns this year, right? Three touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. 1 in the first game, 2 in this one.
Yes, sir.
And defense coming up big. And the next home game will be September 13th at 7:30. The Union County Panthers will be visiting. Fan and Rebels will be at home. So you want to come out and support the team. And I know I'm running a little late, but I don't want to leave with a little bit of defense here. Carson Beavers, 2 solo tackles, 2 assists. You had a total of 38 tackles, 39 assists. Who had 10 tackles? Jackson Weeks, 7 solo, 3 assists for a total of 10. Let's see, 1 sack. Tuggle had a sack. And interceptions. Carson Beavers, 1 interception. Kahutta Hyde, 1. And Austin Ballou, did I have that right?
Correct. Yes.
Is 1. So, and a fumble recovery, Jacob Tuggle. So there's some of the defensive highlights. These Fan and Rebel players, awesome team. Can't wait to see them next Friday, not this Friday night, following week from Friday.
Yes, sir.
I might get this thing straight sooner or later. But the Union Panthers are coming to town. It's a rivalry game. They're ready. Coach is getting them ready. And we're out, and we'll see you not next week, week after. I think I got it right. Oh, don't go yet. Papa's Pizza to Go. Thank you very much. Pepsi. And don't forget, every Monday at 10:10 on Team FYN Sports Facebook page, Lauren Hunter with Instant Replay. I think that's it, Josh. Let's go.